Hey guys, how you doing? Yeah. All right. So writing. We talked about writing before, right? So what makes writing good? What do you guys think? What makes writing good?
Reading books.
Sorry?
Reading books.
Reading books. So writing, not reading. What makes writing good? Yep.
Experience.
Experiences. Yeah.
Using sensory details.
Sensory details. Yeah.
Vocabulary.
Vocabulary. Sure. Is it just vocabulary or is it a certain kind of vocabulary?
Never read it.
Sorry.
Adjectives.
Yeah, so we use adjectives, but which ones, right? Because we have like, so let's use adverbs for example. Adverbs, verbs, walking, right? Or striding, or skipping, hopping, jumping, right? These all give us a different feeling, right? And so those kinds of feelings might change the way that we perceive writing or the way that we visualize it in our heads, right? We talked about the mind's eye, right? The little story, video, movie that plays in your head as you read, right? This changes depending on the words that we use, the word choice, right? Anybody else? Yeah.
Can express my feeling in the writing?
Yep, expressing your feeling, emotions, yeah. It's all really important for writing. So let's get into it. What makes a strong voice? Yeah,
Confident.
sorry?
Confident.
Confidence. I like it.
Now.
Loud. Do you mean in writing or do you mean in person? So we're going to talk about writing. What makes a strong writing voice?
Capital letters.
Capital. All capital letters. All right, got it. Okay, so we're going to talk about that today, okay? All right. So, strong voice in writing is essentially your personality, right? So, how you act in reality, how you talk with your friends, it creates this perception of who you are, right? People associate you a certain way. Maybe you talk very loudly, so people associate you as loud. Or maybe you talk very softly, they associate you as shy. Or maybe they associate you with knowledge, right? If you're, oh, I know that, and answer a lot of questions in class, they might associate you as smart, right? These are personality traits that we develop, and people are able to perceive this, yes? Is everyone okay so far?
Yeah.
All right, so when we write, we give off some of these cues as well. The words we choose, the way that we write it, sentence structure, etc. Do you use small, short sentences, or do you use long, windy sentences, right? Where it's kind of like singing a song, a poem, very long, a lot of descriptive adjectives, right? Some people are very direct, very to the point, and so they will use very direct sentences, very short and simple sentences, right? The cat was walking across the street. Or, the cat was strutting its legs across the street as it was gazing upon the beautiful sky. Do you guys feel the difference in the personality? All right. We can even say the same exact thing, but a different way, which gives us a different feeling of tone. We're going to talk about tone pretty soon, okay? But just for now, I want you guys to remember, voice in writing means personality. You guys understand? So personality is basically who we believe the writer is, or how you are, okay? All right, so why does some writing sound alive while others sound flat? What do you guys think? Why do some feel alive and some feel flat? Yep.
The writings that sound alive uses a lot of emotions and sensory details, while the writing that sounds flat just straight up says the facts about the environment and stuff.
Yeah, that's correct. One other thing I want to add to your statement here is it's not just about something having a lot of sensory details, but it's as if the reader is transported into the character's shoes, as if they are there. What do they notice? What do they see? Using the senses. Taste, smell, hearing, seeing, touching, etc., right? So the faint aroma of roses on this very soft velvety couch that smelled like cookies or something like that, right? We're using some sensory details in order for us to imagine this in our mind as if we are the character. Okay, so here's an example. Flat. I was nervous before the test. My hands were sweaty. What do we know about this sentence? What do we know about the person? Anybody? Go ahead. Feel nervous. Why do we think nervous? Anyone? Why is it nervous? Yeah.
Because he's taking
Yes. So yes, nervous. He says nervous, right? He tells it, but what indicates that he's nervous? Do your guys' hands sweat when you get nervous? Do they feel cold and a little bit wet and you get really nervous about something? Anxiety, scared a little bit? Sometimes it happens to you, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on how much of a person, how much confidence you have in yourself to do something that is outside of your comfort zone, right? Presenting a speech before hundreds of people, that's probably way outside of your guys' comfort zone, right? But maybe talking with a classmate is not. But how about the president of Korea? Does he feel nervous when he talks on camera? What do you guys think? Maybe a little bit. But when you do it enough times, it's no longer nervous, right? So maybe his hands don't get sweaty. But if you guys had to do that, maybe it might happen, right? All right, here's another one. By the time I sat down, my palms could have watered a small cactus. Ugh. That sounds kind of gross, right? Can you guys imagine that? Your hands are sweating so much, there's just watering a cactus. It's very visual, is it not? You can see it vividly in your mind. Just cactus, just sweat dripping, watering it. Okay? Alright, so what is voice? It is the personality of the writer on the page, right? This does not mean it's the character's personality, but the way the writer writes it, okay? Remember, there's a character and then there's a writer. Sometimes there's a writer, a narrator, and a character, right? And so we have to make sure that we understand what the difference is. So a voice is the personality of the writer, no matter if it is a literary analysis essay or it's a short story about a character who goes on an adventure, right? We're going to look at how the writers essentially write the same exact type of story, but in different ways. And this comes to essentially what we talked about last time we talked about writing, which was what? What gave us the personality, the voice? You guys remember? You guys don't remember? Okay, let's review it then. So, your experiences, for one. Your identity, 2, right? Your role in society, 3, right? If you're a boy or a girl, you see the world differently depending on your role in society. For boys in South Korea, you have to go into the military, but for girls they don't, right? So that mental shift is different, right? Or how about the idea that you guys are South Korean versus, from South Africa? If you're from South Africa, you might have a different perspective of the world, right? So the way that you write also might be different. Does that make sense? All right, so I want you guys to guess the personality of the writer on the page. Okay, so by the time I sat down, my palms could have watered a small cactus. What do you think the personality is of the writer of this line?
The writer is very imaginative and creative.
Sorry?
The writer is very creative and
Creative.
imaginative.
Imaginative. All right. Anybody else? What do you guys think? Why cactus? Why not a daisy or a tulip or a rose? Or why not a persimmons tree? Or what other type of plants do you guys have here in Korea that you guys know specifically? Ready? It's okay. What is it called? Right? So that is like a plant that could be watered, right? we could also use this as an idea. By the time I sat down, I've already eaten all of my, what's it called? Bingsu or something like that. Right? Bingsu is very much a Korean thing, right? Bingsu is a Korean snack. But that is implying that the writer is probably what? Korean, yes? Otherwise they would use a different snack or a different food. Right? So we can get this from the things that they choose. Cactus is probably something along the lines of someone who lives in a deserty area, right? So what can we infer from this? Where could this person be from? Anybody? Huh? Desert, yeah, with cactus, maybe from Mexico or something of the sort. It could tell us this, but we need more information, right? All right. How about the next one? By the time I sat down, my palms were ready to launch a bottled water brand. What does that say? What does that tell us about this person?
You're sweating a lot.
He's sweating a lot, but ready to launch a bottled water brand.
He's
Was it Namdasu?
Samdasu.
Samdasu? Yeah, just like that. But in this, instead, it's like your hands. Right?
Just thinking you could make like water bottle company with a sweat.
Yeah, something like that, right? So what do you think about this? If we, instead of Pocari Sweat, it's, I don't know, Shea Sweat or Ryan Sweat.
Get off.
Or Mr. Bouchard Sweat, right? Sounds kind of gross, but you know, Pocari Sweat also sounds a little bit gross, don't you think so? So, what do you guys think? Is it funny? Is it not funny? What's the idea? What do you think they're trying to be going, or what do you think they're trying to go for? Are they serious? Humorous?
Exaggerated?
Exaggerating? Right? What do you guys think?
Exaggerated.
Dramatic? Yeah, could be. Alright. How about this one? By the time I sat down, my palms were slick with sweat. What do you guys think? Is this one humorous, or is it witty? Is it funny? Is it wry? Serious, probably, right? What is slick? Does anyone know what slick means? Yeah.
Kind of like moist.
Moist. So slick is like slippery.
Yeah.
The floor is slick with water, right? So it's like super slippery. There's a lot of sweat. Okay? Why not moist? Why don't we use moist here? Or damp? Those give us different mental images, right? Slick is like slippery. Damp is like you can see the water, like sweat water, right? Or what else? What do you guys think? What else could we use here that can change the meaning? Dripping with sweat? Sure. Yeah, they can launch a water bottle company. All right, how about this one? By the time I sat down, my sweat seeped from my palms as if fear itself was leaking out. What about this one? Are they just nervous? No, what are they? Scared, right? But what does this imply about the writer's personality? The way that it's described. Right? This is something that they probably experienced, right? So like, as if fear itself was leaking out, right? It's using figurative language to explain how scared they are. Right? So this might be the writer's style, the way that they talk, the way that they write, right? But all of these are still valid. They all say the same thing, do they not? I am nervous, or I feel scared, right? And so my hands are wet. All say the same thing. But this is an indication of voice or the writer's personality. Does that make sense? Okay, so how you guys write also change based on how you act. If you're very humorous, you might use a lot of humor. If you're very serious, you might be very serious, right? All right, so what are the elements of a strong voice? Well, number one, we have tone. Number two is word choice. Number three, syntax and rhythm. Number four, consistency. And number five, authenticity. Okay, we're gonna go over each of these and we're gonna talk about it. You guys okay?
Oh, wait, I
So tone. Tone is the overall emotional quality or attitude of a piece of writing, right? Is the tone very serious? Is it like comedy? Is it sad? Is it dramatic? Is it scary? Right? So many ways that writing could work out, right? A horror book would be very weird if it was a funny book, right? Or if it was a happy book. You know, a monster chasing you around or a serial killer chasing you around, right? If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands, right? It's weird. So the tone shifts, right? It's supposed to elicit some sort of emotional response in the reader. Like the floor was damp with crimson hue, you know, the smell of iron hitting your nostrils, the sound of chains clanking in another room, the sound of screams. Something like this is what? It's trying to create what kind of tone, what kind of emotion?
Scared.
Scary, right? Horror movie, right? And so that's why you see that kind of thing in stories like this, okay? So it's the mood that the words create, whether it's humorous, serious, sarcastic, anxious, or calm. A writer's tone shapes how the reader interprets the situation. For example, describing sweaty palms with humor makes the moment lighthearted. Lighthearted means not so nervous, kind of funny in a way, right? This might be used in a book, say, The Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Have you guys ever read that book before?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you've read that book. Okay. Do you know how the writing style is? It's not very scary, right? Or anxiety prone, right? It's very humorous, and it uses humor in order to relate some coming of, you know, age, like ideas, like middle school and stuff, right? Okay. And then using darker language can make it feel tense or fearful, right? As if fear is seeping out, right? This is more along the lines of like tense or suspenseful or scary maybe, right? Does that make sense? Okay, next is the example. So by the time I sat down, my palms could have watered a cactus. This is an exaggerated image that makes the tone light, funny, rather than stressful. We don't want the reader to feel stressed by reading this, right? Okay, so let's go over word choice now. So word choice or dictation, or diction, refers to specific words a writer chooses and how the effects of these words carry. Every word has connotative meaning, right? Like I was talking about, slick, damp, moist, wet, dripping, right? All of these give us a certain image in our head, okay? So what is a connotative meaning? Anybody? All right, good. So connotative meaning is a emotional or cultural meaning attached to a word, right? It's a cultural or emotional meaning attached to a word. You guys understand? Do you guys know what dog water is? What's dog water?
It's like a bad thing.
Why is it bad?
Because
What- It's a connotative meaning, right? Because it literally just means water for dogs, right? But what's the connotative meaning that we use it for?
it sucks. Bad.
Like bad, something is bad, right? So if you use this for someone's basketball skills, you say, your basketball skills are dog water. What do you think the person is intending to do?
Your basketball skills are bad.
Yes. Right? And so certain words will elicit certain emotional responses, right? In this case, this is a very aggressive, you know, response. It's supposed to make someone feel upset or angered, right? So in this case, you know, using slick versus clammy versus damp, you know, it describes sweaty hands can completely shift the image, right? Precise diction ensures truth writing conveys the right feeling to the reader, right? So we want the reader to have a certain mental perspective of a story, right? If we want the reader to be in suspense or feel scared for what's going to happen to the character next, we might not write it with humor, right? Does that make sense? Okay. All right, so here's an example. By the time I sat down, my palms were slick with sweat. The word slick feels sharper and more clinical than damp or clammy, right? Damp or clammy is not very serious. It's more like normal or colloquial.
What does clinical mean?
Clinical is like doctor. Sterile. No flavor. Like tofu. Tofu with no flavor. It's not good, right?
Isn't tofu already a flavor?
Tofu doesn't have a flavor, it takes on the flavor of whatever you cook it with. So if you put tofu in sundubu jjigae, then it takes on the flavor of the other ingredients, right? But if you just eat tofu by itself, it's very bland. No salt, no flavor, just tofu. Or vanilla ice cream like that. No extra flavor. Okay? Alright, next, syntax and rhythm. Do you guys know what syntax and rhythm is? Can you guys see okay? Yeah, okay. So syntax is the arrangement of words in a sentence, like how you arrange it, right? The grammar that you use. Is it a simple sentence, complex sentence, compound sentence? Is it a compound complex sentence? The type of sentence that you use also indicates the style of the writing that you use. Okay? Rhythm is the flow created by the sentence length and structure, right? Short, choppy sentences can create urgency and nervousness. Right? Does anyone know an example of this? Oh my gosh. I need to go. I have to go, I forgot. I'll be right back. That tone is very urgent, right? I didn't say, oh my gosh, I forgot. I'll be right back, guys. It's not as urgent, right? The tone that you get from it, the emotional response from the syntax, right? You guys understand? Okay, so choppy sentences can create urgency or nervousness, while longer, flowy sentences can feel calmer or more descriptive, right? The way the sentence about sweaty hands was built can either heighten the tension or smooth it out, right? All right, any questions so far? You guys have a writing assignment after this, so I want to make sure that you guys understand this, okay?
Wait, what?
You guys have a writing assignment after I finish this PPT. Are you guys ready?
So we have another writing to do
Just in class.
addition to
So we have another writing.
You have in class writing assignment. Any questions? All good? Yeah.
If you don't finish the in class, is it?
You'll finish it. I'm about done with this slide.
No, like if you don't finish the in class.
You will. It's just 3 sentences.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. It's not an essay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So here's an example. My palms were wet, too wet. I wiped them on my knees before I sat. Right? My palms were wet, too wet. Right? I wiped them on my knees before I sat. What kind of implied feeling does this give? Nervousness, urgent, right? The short, clipped sentences create a tense, jittery rhythm that mirrors nervousness, right? You guys understand? Okay. All right, consistency. Consistency is really important, so you guys need to make sure you understand this. So, we talked about voice and the way that you write, right? If you use very short, choppy sentences, and then you switch to very long, flowy sentences later on, the consistency of the writing is off, right? So, to give you guys an example that you might understand. Let's say you have a friend who's very serious all the time. You're like, I'm very serious. I'm not gonna joke with you. I'm not that fun. Blah 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 blah. And then tomorrow he's like, my cat died. What do you feel?
It was not him.
Oh.
And then you might say, oh, I'm so sorry. And he goes, I'm just joking. You feel upset, right? You feel upset, right? Because you can't tell what it is. Like, how are you supposed to feel when someone says that? And so this inconsistency is you don't want it in writing. So you want to keep the same consistency throughout the entire essay. Does that make sense? So your character shouldn't be switching from serious to funny to serious to funny to sad, right? Does that make sense? All right, so consistency means keeping the tone, the dictation, and the style aligned throughout the piece of writing. If the story starts switching from serious to jokey without reason, it can feel jarring or out of place, like I told you guys, right? Haha, I'm just kidding, right? Maintaining consistency helps the reader to stay immersed and trusting the writer's voice and steady, right? Because we're trusting the writer to keep our emotions safe, right? Like you guys felt, haha, I was just kidding. right? That made you feel upset, correct? And so you need to trust the writer. And that means that your writing has to be consistent as well. Okay, here's an example. By the time I sat down, dampness gathered across my palms. Okay, everything here, the word dampness, the calm phrasing, keeping a serious and descriptive consistency. Okay? All right, authenticity. Authenticity is how genuine the writing feels, right? It's not about perfection, it's about believability. Does the voice match the character or narrator? Does the description sound honest and natural or forced and artificial? Authentic writing connects the readers because it feels true to the moment and the person expressing it. For example, imagine you're reading a story about a horror movie, right? And they're like, oh no, I'm running away! He's getting me! No, Jake, don't die! Right? And then you're like, ah! You close the door and like, he can't get me now. And then the axe. And you're like, haha, that door is too strong. Sounds weird, right? Is that something you would say at that moment? Would that character say that? Or they'd be like, oh no, he's trying to get in! Run! Hide! Find a hiding spot, right? You guys understand?
Yeah.
So, authenticity matters because it needs to be believable. We need to be able to believe it. The logic has to make sense, right? As a writer, we're able to decide what words are used, but you need to keep in mind that people look for things that are real, not something that's fake, right? You guys ever seen a really bad movie
Yeah.
where the actor or actress is really bad for that role?
Like,
Did you guys see the recent movie? I don't know if you guys saw it. There was a book called Omniscient Reader. Writer? Omniscient. I think it was Omniscient Reader. It was a web novel. Not web novel. Manhwa? It's Korean manhwa. And they turned it into a movie. But the movie was so bad because the writing was changed from the original story.
That was good.
Right? You guys understand?
I guess I like the Little Mermaid. Real life.
Little Mermaid, yeah. It felt weird too.
Yeah.
Okay, so authenticity, right? We need it to feel believable. It needs to make sense. Don't just try to cram things into a story because you want to prove something or show something, right? It needs to make sense for the person to feel immersed in the story. Here's an example. I sat down fast, rubbing my hands on my jeans, but the sweat wouldn't go away. Simple, direct, and natural. Exactly how someone anxious might describe it in real life. Like that, right?
Isn't that just being cold?
Well, not really, because people do this when they're nervous or they want to feel safe. They might do this too. Oh, that's the shaking, right? You guys understand? Okay. All right. So you guys are writing assignment. Part 1, sentence rewrites. You have to rewrite a plain sentence 3 different ways to show different voices. So here's your sentence. The cafeteria food was bad. You need to write it in a funny voice, sarcastic voice, and serious voice. I'll give you guys an example. Do not copy this though. Okay. They call this food. This looks like cat food. Right? Or sarcastic voice. Wow. This food looks like it's about to come back to life and haunt me. I'm back from the dead. Right? Or serious voice. Wow. They couldn't have messed this up more than burning water or something like that. Or this is really bad food. Right? You guys understand? So you're trying to change the voice of the sentence. But you're trying to elicit the same meaning that cafeteria food is bad. Do you guys understand? So you do part 1 first, and then we'll do part 2. Okay? But let me go ahead and explain part 2. Tone practice, you're going to pick one everyday scenario, write 4 to 5 sentences about it in 2 different voices. So waiting for the bus, walking into class late, studying for a test, ordering food at a restaurant. You guys have already done this on Google Classroom. The tone, 1 scene, 2 different voices, right? So you've already done this, so you're just going to do it again. But one of these. Okay? Any questions? All right, good job. Yes, handwriting.
Oh.
Right.